Welcome back, guys, to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, where after cross-examining Jake Marshall's testimony and revealing him to be the person at the scene of the evidence locker supposed crime, we basically are getting ourselves more and more into trouble here because we're proving Lana Sky's guilt without a doubt at this point in time. As Phoenix says, how can we get out of this situation? I rest my case, says Edgeworth. It seems like bad times. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is untrue. Or is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Oh, what? Thank you. Well, we know there's always suspenseful cliffhanger moments. Your Honor! Wait, it's Emma on the stand. Emma! The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? That makes a load of sense straight off the bat. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? And that's the question. No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. I think I find something wrong with that. I can't see the pictures again, can I? The only way I can see the handprints again is... yeah, I'd have to say it's via the video, maybe? But still. They're both right handprints, aren't they? Aren't they? Unless that's a... no, that's... I don't know. What kind of handprints are these? Is it like the same one on the same side? Is that all? Because then he would have taken off the glove and then smeared blood again somehow? But still, let's have a look. Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. Mr. Wright! Those traces of blood are the only clue we have. No, they are different hands, aren't they? If we can't find something wrong with them... please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the Everblood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. Either way, though, even if it's not the same hand and they'd have taken off the glove in between that time, I guess they would have installed it. You know, bloody gloves is not a good idea to have. But I don't think Jake Marshall was wearing gloves, which means, of course, there were 2 people there. More to the point, you wouldn't wear one gloved hand and one not gloved hand, because that would be kind of weird as well. Well, it's plausible, I guess, but still. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Well, there's gotta be a problem.
Objection!
Otherwise Emma wouldn't bring it up. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Yes, I just suddenly thought something strange as well. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? For the time of what we saw, yes. Something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Well, if I'm right in saying, let's go back to the video here. And check, because at the time of everything, it's the blue badger, pretty much. I've always wondered about the handprint on his face as well. But that was there beforehand as well. But it's him, then. What is the handprint on the blue badger's face exactly? Can we fingerprint test that? I think we should. I think we should indeed. Right. There's more fingerprints in the room at the time, if that was done then, anyway. But still. It's gotta be the blue badger. What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So? So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. I see where this is going now. If there's a handprint on his face, for example, you'd expect a handprint on his face, but there couldn't be a handprint put on the locker. That's pretty much it, which would mean that the blood-marked handprint was there before. See, I get there in the end. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well? Well, what? Ah, that's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? Indeed. Why are you so upset? So that means... just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker, but when we watched the video as well, it obscured that locker. In fact, it was very much the central focus. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekings was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment! I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been. It had to have been Detective Goodman, when he was really murdered.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
Objection!
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
Objection!
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? Well, we can say when it didn't occur then. That's what we can do. To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? It's got to be the ID card record. The entire reason that we can tell when it wasn't done, which it can't have been done, well, at 5:30. It had to be done before 4:50, which allows enough time with that half an hour time frame for the corpse to be moved to a different location and someone like Lana Skye to discover it. So we know. This must be our evidence, which puts Miles Edgeworth in a very pickly spot. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! No! Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. Do you think you'd have had time to move a body in 10 minutes through security and all that? You'd have had to arrange a heck of a lot for that and have a lot of gear ready to clean up that mess. If someone's got a fingerprint that bloody, got their shoe stepped in blood as well, if we remember other things, that's a lot of cleaning to do. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. Or fortunately for you, Edgeworth, it really is. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. So the 4:20 period, there's only one other card number remaining. All the sevens! Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room with someone else? Because he didn't have his card. Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer, which means it was someone he knew and someone he didn't expect to do such a thing. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777-777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 77777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. I might have said 9. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous! Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries? That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Objection!
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, well, let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing. About that incident. The SO9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. That's just full on said that the law means nothing at all. And so, we move to after the case, or after the trial, to another day of investigation. February 24, 312 at Wright & Co. Law Offices. Let's get our bearings yet again. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. But if they forged evidence, though, wouldn't every trial have to then be redone? I'm not sure how that would go, but I imagine a lot of criminals who did commit crimes might get out based on what she said. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I hope you got the right person. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. And so we have ourselves information, yet another past case. It's quelled all inside this, but I like that, the drama, the feel of unraveling not one but two cases at a time. It's pretty amazing, it's a pretty intense feeling as we continue on in Phoenix Wright. Another day of investigation. More to the point, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a ton of information from Miss Sky in a second. Join me then for more Phoenix Wright. Bye-bye.